This is the IELTS speaking test. So now let's start. May I know your full name, please?
My full name is Duncan Ling.
Okay, so the first question is, who are you closest to in your family?
My family is much of a nuclear family with only four members, including my parents and a sibling who is 7 years older than me. And to be honest, she is by all means the member I share the closest bond with.
Okay, so do you get along well with your family?
To be completely honest, generally I can say that I do. Of course, we cannot avoid some moments where we have conflicts or disagreement among the family members. However, most of the times I'm sure that I'm in tune with my family.
Mm-hmm. And are your parents your role models in life? Why and why not?
Uh, at some point when I was younger, I admired my father for his positive attitudes in life. There were times when I saw him facing hardships in life or at work, but he could always keep his smile and the optimism that he would find the solution to the problem. And until now, I still consider my father's attitudes in life is something that I strive for.
And how much time did your parents spend with you when you were a child?
A lot of time, I must admit. Back in the day when I was a child, I had the opportunity to enjoy every meal, every little moment with either my father or my mother, or even both of them sometimes. And they would even spend the whole evening teaching me how to read or doing simple calculations. And all of those childhood memories mounted up, I have to say that they did spend plenty of time observing me when I was younger.
And do you often have problems with family members?
As much as I hate to admit it, I do. However, none of these problems could threaten the familial bond, since they would mostly be something insignificant or trivial that would soon be drop off the radar moments later.
And do you think conflicts among family members are unavoidable?
Personally, since our families are constituted of different individuals carrying various traits and characteristics, it's not easy to say that conflicts are avoidable. We could deeply understand our family members to some extent, but at some flickers of a moment, we would not easily reach a common insight that may cause disagreement among the family members. However, it is rudimentary for us to take the wise after the event to help the bond pick up steam.
Now we're moving to part two. In this part, you have 1 minute to describe a time you had a disagreement with someone in your family. You should say who was the person, why did you have the disagreement, and was the issue resolved? If yes, and how? Now you can begin your speech.
If my memory serves well, it must have been several months ago when it was still during the summer holiday that I had after my first high school year. My mother and I could not see eye to eye on a trivial matter. At first, we would try to talk to each other. However, the argument quickly escalated. Our emotions were running high, and soon we were entangled in a heated disagreement. I remember feeling hurt, and my self esteem was being shattered by my mother's word, but I knew that she was equally upset. After the tensions were thick enough to be cut with a knife, we both decided to make peace. We had let our feelings shimmer down, and we both brought out the most sincere apologies of our behavior during the confrontations. In the end, the disagreement was dissolved in harmony thanks to our understanding and empathetic conversation.
Now we are moving to the final part of the IELTS speaking test, part number three. And the first question is, how much time do parents spend with their children in your country? And do you think that is enough?
To my awareness, parents in my country would spend a few hours with their children when both sides are not at work or at school, or they're not busy dealing with their personal matters or taking up their interest. This experience can vary in different families, but I think the parents have managed to spend time with their offspring, fulfilling their parental duties as well as the role of the caretakers. However, from my perspective, the answer to the question is it's not enough. Both children and parents are engaged in their own motions of life, which has already taken up a lot of their times. Therefore, asking parents to spend enough amount of time with their children in this hasty living pace is hardly possible.
Thank you. And question number two is how important do you think spending time together is about the relationships between parents and children, and why?
I think spending time together is fundamental for the relationship between parents and children. Children need quality time with their parents in order to feel loved, cared, and valued. Um, Spending time together can strengthen the bond between parents and children, and as well as to foster the communication, understanding, and mutual support between them. It also helps children to develop social and emotional skills, which are essential for their well being and development later in life.
And question number three is have relationships between parents and children changed in recent years, and why do you think that is?
Probably yes. Relationships between parents and children have changed drastically in recent decades, primarily due to the changes in society and culture. In the past, the role of parents are more rigid and traditional, with people being conformist. Today, however, families are more diverse and complex, with both parents commuting out to work and children always busy with their own interest, living under this one roof. In addition, the rise of technology as well as social media has changed the way we communicate and interact a lot. As a result, relationships between parents and children are less linear and more fluid, with greater emphasis on communications, mutual support, and shared decision making.
And question number four is do you think that today's modern lifestyle has pushed parents and grandparents further away from the younger generation?
To answer these questions, I would say yes. The modern lifestyle, with its ever increasing demands for work and leisure time, it can make it challenging to carve out quality time for families. Parents and grandparents may not have as much time to spend with the younger generations as they used to, which can lead to the disconnections and the distance between them. The fast living pace and the proliferations of technologies may also have contributed to this disconnections between them, as younger generations may also have different interests and values than their elder generations.
And question number five is should parents let their children make a decision?
Personally, I would say it depends on the tasks that children are required to make decision on. Um, Parents should generally encourage their children to make up their own mind with appropriate limits. Children need opportunities to develop their self confidence as well as their problem solving skills, which allow them to make choices and deal with the consequences that can help them later. However, there are certain decisions that are too important or potentially perilous for children to make on their own. In those cases, it's appropriate for parents to intervene. Overall, it's important to stay relevant to their children's autonomy and give them opportunities to make their own decisions, while also providing mentorship and setting boundaries to ensure safety and well-being is secured.
Thank you. And that is the end of the IELTS speaking test. And
Welcome. What's your full name?
my name is Zhang.
Okay. Welcome to the IELTS speaking test. Now we shall begin. The first questions I want to ask is, who are you closest to in your family?
If you ask me, a family member that I am attached to more than other is definitely my mother, and she's the only person who really knows me well, who is willing to sit down and listen to me and put herself in my shoes and provide me with unconditional love and mentorship in important times when I have to make a decision.
Who do you get along well with your family?
Mm, yes, I'm on good terms with my relatives. They are all very upbeat, supportive, and considerate people. And they are pillar of strength that reinforce my perseverance in the face of adversity. But I wouldn't say we didn't have any arguments. Like, however, we always attempt to mitigate the tension by communicating and trying to find a common ground. And indeed, I feel fortunate to be a member of my family.
Are your parents your role model in life?
I would certainly say that my parents are the ultimate role model in my life because they brought me into the world and they raised me and stayed with me through thick and thin. And thanks to my parents, I have learned many positive characteristics from their role models, and I can emulate them to become successful in the future. Like to elucidate, I have a dream of becoming a pilot like my mom, and she has inspired me to reach my goals as well as serve as a source of in-depth information in my niche field.
How much time did your parents spend with you when you were a child?
Well, to be honest, my parents are both civil servants, and they have to work from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. 5 days a week. But despite that busy work schedule, my parents still managed to spend a decent amount of time with me during my childhood, especially my dad. Like his work requires him to travel abroad a lot to meet his counterparts, but whenever he had free time, he would stay at home and play with me.
How do you often have problems with your family?
Um, I wouldn't say I would say it's very rare, like once in a blue moon. My family is actually quite harmonious and peace loving. And we tend to try best to avoid family conflicts and resolve them as soon as possible because we don't have so much time gathering together and we appreciate every moment we've been together.
Do you think conflicts among family members are avoidable?
Mm, yes, family conflicts occur because we might not share the character traits with our own family members, or maybe we misconstrue each other. And I believe that family conflicts are inevitable and they are part and parcel of our life. And family conflicts are also the spice of life that enhances and tightens family relationships.
Now we're moving on to part two. Um, Now I'll give you the topic. It is describe a time when you had a disagreement with someone in your family. What you should say are, who was the person? Why did you have the disagreement? And was the issue resolved? If yes, how? Now you can begin.
Okay, so I'm not the kind of person who is argumentative and enjoy debating, but when it comes to this subject, I say I still remember recent argument with my mother. So basically, my mom expressed her concerns over my excessive usage of smartphone. She said I have spent an inordinate amount of time using this, and she wants to take my smartphone away from me. And my mom feared that this will, my excessive usage of smartphone will have a significant bearing on my language literacy and cognitive skill. my attention span as a result of my multitasking, as well as my social skill. Should the worry I might access to salacious content or inappropriate content that are beyond my years. And indeed, I quickly oppose her by showing that I utilize my smartphone only for study purposes, and there are no reasons for her to take my beloved phone away from me. And if she insisted on doing it, my academic performance will be affected. And we have been constantly arguing for nearly a week. And eventually, my mom and I come to find a conclusion that I will have to limit my screen time to 3 hours a day. I think this is quite acceptable. At least I don't have to say goodbye with my phone. And yeah, anyway, I'm delighted that our contention finally come to an end and we were able to resolve our conflict.
Now we're moving on to part three. Um, I shall ask you: should parents let their children make a decision?
From a legal perspective, a child is ready to make their own decisions at 18 years old in most states. So yeah, for the sake of younger children, I think parents may need to assist them in the process of making decisions because younger children may not have the maturity or awareness or understanding to make crucial decisions by themselves, especially decisions related to health, education, or um, financial matters. So, for example, a parent may need to decide which school the child would attend or medical treatment the child should receive based on their own experience and knowledge, as well as consulting professionals and finding advice from trustworthy sources. But as children grow older and able to demonstrate capacity, judgment, and maturity, I think parents should let them make age appropriate decisions. Doing so will leverage the power of responsibility to ensure the healthy and holistic development of the child. So, for example, parents can allow the children to choose extracurricular activities or making decisions about their future education. Yes.
Now, what responsibilities do parents have towards their children?
From a perspective, the onus of parents are meeting and fulfilling a child's needs, which is an uphill mission. But is this something tangible that we can strive for? And I believe what a child really needs from his or her parents is sympathy, attention, mentorship. And the first and simplest step is to make sure to take time to listen to kids because it's the parents' willingness to sit with them and hear them out that really matters. And by following this, parents can easily put themselves in their children's shoes and accept and identify with them. And secondly, parents should try to make the kids feel safe by offering nurturance, real care, and affection, but not overdo for them. And finally, caregivers should provide comfort, support, and be a pillar of strength for our children in hard times to help them overcome the vicissitudes of life.
Hmm. Um, do you think old people and young people can share interest?
Yes, I do concur with the view that the elderly and youngsters can have some interest in common. Although it is irrefutable that there are great discrepancies in their life experiences and stances, we can still identify a profusion of shared interests. For example, simple and familiar hobbies such as reading books or listening to music or watching movies can be taken up by people of all ages. And additionally, certain social current issues and concerns can also bridge the generation gap. And so it can be said that age should not be a barrier for old and young people to discover shared interests and form close connections with each other.
What can old people teach young people?
I think the sky's the limit when it comes to things that young people can learn from their seniors. So, although the world has changed a lot, something still remains the same. So, firstly, older generation can give youngsters unique insights and many invaluable life lessons because they have decades of experience to share. And so younger generations can spend years slowly gaining the experience and making the same mistakes on their own, or they can draw on the wisdom of those who already been down the same road. For example, the elderly can teach them the importance of saving money for their retirement instead of splashing them out extravagant items. Or secondly, young people can learn bygone traditional practices and values from the elderly. So learning practical skills like knitting, gardening, baking, or sewing from other people is something like a breath of fresh air in their fast pace of life.
The last question is here. Is it easy for young people and old people to make friends with each other?
So I think it's not that straightforward to make friends from different age groups in most of the cases because the age barrier or the generation gap sometimes brings issues and causes a lot of troubles that might ruin the friendship. And young people and old people possess divergent life experiences, beliefs, and stances that make them difficult to relate to each other. For example, an old individual may grapple to understand and find common ground with a young person who has grown up with a cutting edge technology and modern cultural backgrounds. Thank you.
That's all for the IELTS speaking test. Thank you.